Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Market Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for the 30th of October. So we've got one more trading day of the month to go. I'm going to go over a couple numbers for you just on the right of the screen. Before I do that, risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. There we go. Try to get through that as quickly as possible. So here's where we stand for the month. I mean, it's kind of interesting because, it's been a very odd market, I think, this month, because if you look at these numbers, the S&P is up 1.1% for the month. The Qs have outperformed, up 1.7% for the month, and the small and the mid caps, small caps are just barely positive for the month. However, there's been some really good movers this month. I mean, I had tweeted out earlier with my mid cap note that it has been a stock picker's market. And I think really when you kind of look at the advancers versus decliners, there's been a lot more decliners lately. And that's how I kind of ended the video yesterday, was just talking about how many names have been falling. And let's zoom this in so that you can see this. So this is another day. It's another day where there's 54. This is the 4-week new highs versus 4-week new lows. And there's 54 new highs today. That's 11% of the index, and 94 new lows. So the new lows, I think it's about like the last, I don't have the stats in front of me, nor this chart is very difficult to count down here, but you could kind of see for yourself. And this does not include today's activity, but I think it's probably been about for the last week and a half, there's been the majority of days, there's been more new lows than new highs. So this market has been weakening up here. And, so I try to give you every day in this video that I do, I try to just give you objectively, like, this is what's going on in the market. I don't give you a rah, only, look at these two names. These were amazing and so forth. I don't give you all of that fluff. I try to just give you the overall stats, and so that you can kind of judge what's going on here. Because I do think that there's been some really good opportunities this month, but I think that you've had to be pretty highly selective, given that breadth has not been particularly good. And you can measure that by, those 4-week new highs versus new lows. You could look at the McClellan summation index. You could look at a few other measures too. But bottom line, there's been more names that are going down, even though the overall market has been going up. I know that's a little bit counterintuitive, but that's called a little bit of a divergence. Now, that divergence could certainly straighten itself out, but if you look at the movers after the close today, right, look at how many names, for example, are down about 1%. There's 32 names that are down 1% in the after hours. How many names are up about 1%? There's about 30. So it's close, but it's tough. And again, if you look at a couple names, you look at what Carvana is doing, you look at what Confluent is doing. Etsy's actually up 12%. Twilio is actually up nicely too. Floor and Decor is up 6%. It's interesting because Trex, I think, was up today on earnings. But so it's not like there's not winners. I mean, there's some good names in here. Reddit was a big name today that just continued to move higher. So there are opportunities in this market, but it's in a lot of momentum type plays, which, traders really, especially day traders, really like that kind of a market. Let's look at what's going on in the crypto world today. Now, again, these numbers you kind of have to understand, and you could say, hey, Christian, these names have really gone up a lot. That is true. Coinbase, not so much. Coinbase, I think, has kind of been the under performer in the group. It's basically just flat over the last, again, there's been ranges, there's been things to trade, I guess, in there. If you really like a challenging chart, that one may be for you. But, MSTR, it's worthy of a pullback at this point. This thing has been a monster. Hood is also down too. I own Hood, so I'm down a little bit in this one. This has been a nice winner for me. I took off, I did sell into some of this strength over the last couple weeks, but it kind of stinks to be down in the name there after hours. Where's my Hood trade for today? Yeah, this is on the ad, and my cost basis is much lower. I just added this the other day because I thought Hood had a chance to break out. So it's coming back here a little bit. Microsoft, which generally doesn't move that much on earnings. I was talking about this. I did not play Microsoft for earnings. but if you look at the earnings history, you could see, I think I added this up earlier. Over the last 10 quarters, the average move for Microsoft is a little bit over a 2%. This stock doesn't move on more recently hasn't moved that much. So a little bit disappointing there. And Meta, which the CNBC was actually right with this one, and I agree with them. I thought the expectations were just a little bit too high for Meta, and that has been the star of the group. So we get a lot more, so looking at the indices, I mean, this has been very boring to analyze. So I'll go through this like in about 5 seconds. We're consolidating here. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the consolidation here. We would just like to see a little bit better breadth. And I feel like I said this in the weekend video too. Regardless, there's some really good day trading opportunities and some momentum plays in this market, no doubt. And like Reddit is a great example. It seems like there's one of these almost every day that you're getting, and that's a good thing. But I think overall, like you want to see more things could continue just for not one day and continue to kind of move. I am more of a swing trader. Affirm was a nice trade for me, but it kind of so sorry, let me get back to before I get sidetracked. SPY, yeah, it's just kind of sitting here. Notice that it did the same thing here. So again, I am trying to be optimistic here. We have to get through a bunch of events tomorrow. PCE numbers, so inflation data. Friday we get the monthly jobs report and more earnings. Amazon and Apple come after the close, and then next week you get this little thing called the election, which again you could see some short-term volatility around that. That's usually how it works. So, but again, just have to kind of be on your toes with some of these things. And I think everybody at this point is talking about the seasonal, that we do get into a stronger seasonal period. That scares me a little bit that everybody's talking about it. But at the end of the day, I follow price action, and I'll want to see breadth really increase as we get into the new month, right? Again, just one more day left. Here's the Qs. Again, the Qs have been the way that the Qs have worked recently is, basically buying the dip, buying the low end of the range and then selling. If you're trying to play for any type of continuation or breakout, you're probably not happy with this. The up moves are getting faded, but the down moves are getting bought here. So here's where we are. We're right at the top of the value area for the week, right? That's what this gray box is. That's the value for the week. Let's see if we can kind of get back above there, and we'll go from there. IWM for middle of the day. It's funny because I take a snapshot at this middle of the day, and I send out a note, and I'm like, hey, the small caps and micro caps are doing pretty good. I would call this for now, a bit of a rejection. They hit right at the top of the value area for the month, right? And again, this is sent out to you guys in the you get these levels right now in the morning. If you are on Substack, I don't know. I'm going to be making some changes to Substack. I want to make sure people are getting the most out of it. Right now I send 3 notes. That's probably a little bit overkill. You get a morning note, which covers index levels. You get the midday note, which covers things like those 4-week new highs versus new lows, plus an update on all open positions. And I do that again at the end of the day. So maybe I just need to do that once. And I may lower the price on Substack, just so that considering that I'm going to lower some of the quantity of the notes, and try to make each note maybe a little bit more robust. So in any event, that's coming. And I'm going to let members weigh in a bit on that too. So IWM, regardless, this morning you did see 223.83 was your resistance, but a rejection there, and that's what you've got for the small caps. So I was going to mention a couple trades. Affirm, I'm holding the last piece. I caught the turn on this. I was talking about it in the trading room yesterday that this was trying to carve out a bottom, and a nice move. So if you catch one of these, something like this that goes up 5.5%, that's pretty good. Google, we had an earnings trade on for this one. Look at this thing. It goes right up to not the best looking candle for the day, right? And that's why I sold my earnings trade pretty quickly. Here's my earnings trade for Google. The call spread I put on for $1.25. What this should be for, why can't I go, why is this not letting me go down? Oh, that's an Uber trade. Sorry. That's Uber, not not Google. It's been a long day with all these earnings reports. Yeah, I took this thing off. This was a $7.50, $7.50 wide call spread. I took it off. I put it on for $2. It's more than a double. And then I took the last piece off like minutes later. This was right after the open. I just didn't know if this thing was going to hold. But bottom line is like, you know, I sent out a nice post, or I think it is anyway, a nice post on Twitter. Right? It's very so. I use the MarketWebs, which are the boxes on your screen, and this VPOC up here, and you can read more about that. By the way, if you just go to my pinned tweet on Twitter, you will see if you click on the link, you will see all the criteria behind the MarketWebs and volume at price. But I you can't really argue with what it's showing you here. I talked about how the price action was tight, but look how it goes right up to this VPOC. So what is this version point of control? Right, this is from this value area, and notice that there's all the volume here, and price. This is the point of control for this period, and price did not come back and revisit this from this price action here. So that becomes really interesting because our calculation for this point of control is very, very good, right? If some people try to trade with these volume profiles, I think that's complete waste of time, right? I've heard people talk about volume shelves and so forth, and they're not even associating the time of when the volume comes. What you like, in my opinion, what works so much better is to know where the majority of that volume occurred, right? And look at how well we did this. Right. And again, I'm not drawing these lines here. If you look at my tweet from the other day, right, you'll see exactly what I'm referring to. Right, so here's my tweet from yesterday. Here's the here's the level that I'm calling out. Right, so that's a up 7% move. Right, and again, like this happens over and over, especially during earnings. Right, when price gets out of a range, it begins to gravitate and look for where there was a lot of buyers and sellers. So I mean, the issue, like I know that again, if you could make money with trying to trade a volume profile, like if you think that that works, then continue to do it. But I just don't think, I think it's completely random. I think you have to put some criteria, some statistics behind that. Same thing with anchor VWAP. A lot of people use that. So again, it's the same concept of using volume at price. We're just organizing it a lot better, right? Because volume at price, excuse me, anchoring VWAPs is subjective. Where are you going to anchor your VWAP? Well, today I'm going to do it at the high of this year, or the low of this year, or the beginning of this year, or right. All of that is subjective, right? What we're doing here is we're giving you exactly what it is. We're associating a valuary for the year, a valuary for the month, and a valuary for the week, using the weekly chart, the daily chart, and the 1 hour chart. I'm going to sum it up there for now. I'm not going to go into any more detail about it, but it just works very well, and it's very neat. It's not, you don't get involved with having to to manipulate anchors and all that. It's all done for you automatically, and that's the MarketWebs, and you can get that through TradingView. IGV software, pretty good. This made a new high yesterday. I would continue to watch this group. I think that you're seeing some good strength. I kind of like Oracle here. We'll see if Oracle can kind of turn. The semis were disappointing today. AMD usually disappoints. I'm sorry to say that. I know AMD has got a lot of fans to it, but it is what it is. AMD has been an underperformer for a while now. The semis can kind of continue to consolidate. I would stick with the strongest names. And I would be selective in this group at this point, right? And NVIDIA, just to go over a couple charts with you, I think NVIDIA is a good spot, right? 20-day moving average. Let's see if it can hold. Nice little, not I don't know if that's exactly a hammer bar, but I like that it found support at the 20-day moving average. Now it just needs to kind of regain, right? And yeah, another one in this group is Taiwan Semi. I like how it filled the gap. So I think better to be looking at this name here at the 20-day moving average than at this earnings gap. right? This was at 208. Stock's down to right around like 192, right? I think that that's pretty decent as well. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Many other names to go through, but I'm gonna stop the video here. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.